Good morning. In this podcast, of course, there are some words in French, but don't worry because I will translate everything and it gives you a flavor on top of the main discussion. So today we are going to discuss technique, technology, and sciences of nature. And the question is how are these activities comparable or different? Indeed, my goal is to say that they are completely different. Now, I want to begin with this picture because I propose that when there is an activity, a human activity, it means that there is a goal. Okay, and a goal is like a destination for a journey. You make a trip and you go somewhere. Depending on the place where you are going, you're using a particular way. And in Greek, the way is methodon, the method. And the main conclusion of this picture, even if it is a comparison, it's that when you have a destination that is clear, you have a way that is also clear. And different destinations, you cannot reach them with the same way. So they have different ways, different methods. Okay, now we are ready to consider the three different activities that are on this picture: technique, technology and engineering, and sciences of nature. Okay. I put them at the same level because no one is better than the other. They are different and you cannot compare them. For technique, it comes from the Greek word techne, to do something. When you do something, you're a technician. Okay. And cooking is a technique. We are adding something to that later, but it's a technique. You have to produce food or dishes. For sciences of nature, now on the right, you know them, chemistry, physics, and so on. There is one in particular that is called molecular and physical gastronomy, or molecular gastronomy for short. All sciences of nature produce knowledge. And they produce, in particular, knowledge about the mechanism of phenomena. We are coming to that later. And technology and engineering, in the middle, is the activity when you improve technique using the result of sciences of nature. There are other meaning for technology and engineering. In particular, you can coordinate technical activities. But anyway, this is technology, and the arrows at the bottom, the green arrow and the black one, are the relationship between the three fields, but I'm not going into details now about that. And I'm coming back to technique. Okay, technique, so you produce something. You have to produce with care, with greatest care. For example, the roof on the left is very well done. The bridge in the middle is standing up for 2 millennia, so you see it's carefully done. And the cake is very carefully done. It takes you probably 1 or 2 days to make it. Now, why? Because if you don't make with care, imagine that you are a carpenter and you make a staircase, people coming to your home will break their legs, and it means I don't love you. So care, on the contrary, means I love you, and this is why it is so important. Of course, for cooking, there is also a question of art, but I will not go into this question now. I'm coming to technology. I said something about technology. I will not be longer because I'm not interested in technology. Even if I'm producing one invention per month for 20 more than 21 years, this is not my goal. My main goal is molecular and physical gastronomy, which is science. And sciences of nature are looking for the mechanism of phenomena. Okay, this is very clear. Now, they were probably invented more than 2 millennia ago in Greek antiquity, but modern sciences were created by a small group of people. Among them is Galileo Galilei, and he said you have to prefer experiment to any reasoning. Okay, but it was only one part of what he said. The other part is we have to calculate because the word is written in mathematical language. And this is why I don't like the expression experimental sciences for sciences of nature, because they are not only experimental, they are also theoretical. We have to stand on our 2 feet. One is experiments and the other is calculation. The world is written in mathematical language. Now, Francis Bacon, at almost the same time, said very smartly that you have to measure everything. This is one particularity of science. You have to measure everything. And this is because you measure everything that you have many numbers and then you group them into equations. But let's see that now. This is the picture that I want all the students of the world to get. And it is the method of the science of nature. Of course, there are exceptions. Of course, some people are only theoreticians. But for sciences of nature, let's keep this simple idea first, please. So, number one, we observe a phenomenon, or we identify a phenomenon. It can be a mountain, it can be the blueness of the sky, it can be anything. Number two, we measure. We quantify the various aspects of the phenomenon. We get a lot of data, and this is why, number three, we group this data into equations. I'm not sure that I like the word fitting, grouping into equations, or perhaps we have to introduce a new name. In the old time, it was said laws, but I'm not sure that it is comparable to a law, because a law is something that humans decide. In this case, you don't decide. This is an obligation. The equation is an obligation from the data. Anyway, number four, you group some equations and you add some new concepts. You induce some new concept to make a theory. And this theory is not perfect, of course, because a reduced model of reality is not reality, which means that you cannot demonstrate a theory. You can only refute it, as Karl Popper said very well, which means that you look for a consequence of the theory, a logical consequence, and you get a refutable prediction, number 5, and you make an experiment to test this prediction, number 6. And of course, you hope that the experiment will refute the theory, because otherwise you would not be able to improve it. So when it is refuted, you go back to 1 and 2. So this is the very important and very smart method of sciences of nature. 30 years ago, or more than 30 years ago, I applied it to the expansion of a souffle. At that time, it was said that souffle expand because air bubble expand with heat. When you apply a simple equation for the gas expansion, you calculate 30% of expansion, which is not enough to explain the expansion of the souffle, because the souffle can expand by 200%. So I had to make new measurements, the pressure, the temperature inside the souffle, and finally I discovered that souffle expands mostly because water evaporates. But of course it's not the end of the story, because this theory is not enough. If it were true, you would get 10 liters of souffle from 100 grams of preparation, and you don't get them. So we have to introduce new ideas, for example, that air bubbles evaporate at the top, and so on. In 1988, with my old friend Nicholas Curtis, that you see on this picture on the right and on the left, we introduced the definition of a new science, molecular and physical gastronomy, the scientific exploration of the mechanism that occur during cooking. The mechanisms are everywhere in cooking. You can look at Bekaofa, at choucroute, at coq au vin. You know, the meat turns brown. There is some expansion. There is the blueness of the blueberries is changing with heat. Why? And so on and so on. But I repeat that for molecular gastronomy, molecular and physical gastronomy, or for short, molecular gastronomy, everything is there. We are looking for the mechanism of the phenomena with the scientific method that I told you before.